This paper reports on our efforts to design with trust in a 2-year design ethnography with the City of Atlanta's Office of Immigrant Affairs in our local city government. The research question in this paper that we explore is how should we understand designing technology with trust in the civic space? As is now, designing with trust is dominated by neoliberal logic, which narrowly interprets criteria and ideas for trust through efficiency and transactionality. This logic obscures how design might pursue trust in use cases that involve the complex, normative, and internally agonistic dimensions of civic life in urban environments. Issues such as gentrification, structural racism, and economic inequality, which are all not reducible to clicks or swipes. So in this paper, we argue against neoliberal logic's interpretation of trust and provide a counter logic, one that is a relational and centers designing with trust around the social psychological concept of distance. We call this framework distance and trust. And we applied it in a 2-year design ethnography with our city's Department of Immigrant Affairs. In this work, we focused on how the office was working to assist immigrant communities, specifically Hispanic immigrant communities, overcome their distance in their relationships with the city as it pertains to addressing housing code violations. We used our framework to inform the design of a sociotechnical system called Code Enforcer, which was designed to aid immigrant affairs' ongoing efforts to help these communities get repairs and maintenance of their living spaces. And so Code Enforcer will allow the office to monitor and assist residents' interactions with property managers and the city's code enforcement process. To design that system with trust, the framework, Trust is Distance, introduces these concepts of trust process stages of initiating, building, and retaining, and sensitizing concepts, which help guide the design process of the system according to the needs of trust in the space. In the paper, we articulate how each of these concepts inform the design of different components of the system, how history, for instance, informs the graphic design and information of the paper code guide pamphlets, how notions of experience guide the specific user interface components of the system, how expectations can be mediated and set, and finally, how interactive features in the system can preserve trust. In the end, what the system tries to do is bring these communities closer to governance as a means to addressing this specific issue of housing code violations. The system has this paper component that is about meeting distal communities where they are, acknowledging their lived experiences, developing relationships with them as a way to increase their knowledge and ability to act through forming civic relationships. Now, in the grand scheme of things, the system symbolically represents one attempt at closing the social distance between the city and its communities. And ideally, in the office's mind and our own, we hope the success of closing distance in this one specific area of civic life would lead immigrant communities feeling closer to their government and more likely to engage in other aspects of civic life. So while we did find our framework of trust is distance did inform designing this technology with trust, it also created tensions in the design space, specifically around how we understand the underlying philosophy of designing with trust, specifically the tensions in making trust more efficient and the questions of delegating the human work of meeting people where they are to technology. While we are not able to resolve these tensions in the current work, We hope that this paper opens up a space for critical engagement within the CHI community, specifically within the space of digital civics, on how we understand the role of trust in civic relationships. Thank you.